is kind of edging you on, but he's not just, in some egotistical, irritating way, nudging you in this direction without giving you the revelation. He wants to give you the revelation. He's trying to be that voice in your ear, whispering in there, telling you, walk in this direction, stand like this, say this, and you don't even know it, but you're walking like that, you're standing like that, you're saying that just earned you $1 million. Okay, I went too far for somebody. You think all these folks that look like they're doing better than you are really better than you?
Help us.
Because I'm convinced most of us are still dealing with this and wrestling with it to some degree. They look like they're better than us, so we assume they are better than us. Don't you know they're folks just as frail and messed up as you are? I'm talking about big time folk. I'm talking about folk look holy. I'm talking about folks on TV laying hands and slinging, don't you know some of the vices and things people struggle with, they're just as vulnerable, just as weak as you and I are. But what inhabits them isn't, you see. What's in us is not frail. It is not weak. It will take a frail vessel and make it stand up like a giant and slay the giants. Even though it is frail. Don't you know David was a ruddy boy? He was the one that nobody thought would be the king, but look at the giant stand up in him in a heart, and he takes out Goliath. That's what the story tells you, that a little boy comes up and he takes the position of grown men, that grown men couldn't take, and slays a giant. How? Because there was a mind in him different than the mind that was put in him by his society. And I'm trying to tell you there is a mind in you different than the mind that was put in your society. And mindful living, from my perspective, is being in touch with this mind. So back to Romans chapter 12, beginning at verse 1, Paul says, I beseech you, I beg of you. And listen, he's crying out in a culture of people who are enlightened, and they have a lot of options. They can go to anybody's school. They can sit in anybody's lecture hall. Rome is in the high days of your society when this letter is being written. Okay, this is not some rural, rundown environment. This is a real quintessential society, just like ours. And Paul says, I beg of you, bring me your bodies. Get here. Foremost, you need to understand, as we're moving forward through this journey, you're going to have to give diligence to getting here. The type of revelation I'm trying to help you understand, you can't get hidden and missing. It's kind of like being in a math class. Anybody remember being in math class? They told you if you missed one day, it was like missing 3. And you come back like, what the heck happened? The type of revelation I'm giving you by the Spirit is kind of like a customized diet plan that God has for this nation of champions that he's called here. And you'll realize as you take it more serious, things are just going to begin to streamline in you. So hear me, I'm not being a control freak in this regard. I'm being a shepherd. And I'm trying to tell you that he's leading us to greener pastures. And you can still be over there grazing in that dead ground if you want to, while you done led the rest of us to a new place. But in a minute, you're going to realize there's something good happening over here. Catch up. You know, it may take a little bit more focus. Maybe you're having to read your Bible a little bit more. Maybe you're having to pray a little bit more. But ain't that what you saved for? Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. Ain't that why you come to church, I'm shocked, that people act shocked when it's time to pray. When it's time, ain't that what you said you wanted to be a part of, when you gave the preacher your hand and God your heart? If you didn't, I want to give you a reality check. That's why you're saved. But in all of this praying, if the mind that was in him doesn't find itself in you, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And this is why we're discouraged with church as usual. This is why you will not pray. You go to sleep on your prayers. This is why you start reading the Bible. It don't make no sense. Because you don't have the right mind. See, the mind that was in him values the word. The mind that was in him consults the word before it consults anything else. The mind that was in him say, if I'm going to know how to do what now, it will be in the word. Yes, the same word that now we're beginning to look at and say has no merit whatsoever. If you read these stories, though, what comes out to you in these stories is second to none. It is as the voice of God crying out on you. Divine instructions almost. How many understand what I'm saying? Paul said, in order for me to get this to you, though, you got to bring me your body. Get here. Get here. Give me your body and make your body the living sacrifice. Why is he using this language? Because they're very accustomed to their religious society, the religious teaching telling them that the sacrificial system of bull, goats, and rams was enough. That's all God wants. How does that translate in our society? It would mean going to church is enough. What Paul is contending against is a mindset with people that says, at least I show up to church. That's better than this person. That's better than that person. At least I pay my tithe. I know folks don't even pay their tithe. And we sling this stuff around like it's some fire insurance, like it's some insurance premium, and you should be glad that I have a better insurance, you know. No, this isn't what we're talking about here. This isn't supposed to be some fire insurance, a premium you're paying so that you don't burn in the eternal hell. This is supposed to be a living example, a living epistle Paul talked about, written and read of all men. In other words, you are literally one with the experiences of the text. If they ask who is Christ, you will literally look at them and say, you're looking at him. When they say, show me the Father, you, like Christ, will look at them and say, what do you mean? I've been in your midst all the time. And this is confusing for some people because they have the wrong mind. But Paul said, give me your body and you will become the living sacrifice. Sacrifice, what? Being consumed by God. Now, the example given, as I've told you before, could be likened to what? Logs and fire. And the author says that, look, you want to be the logs consumed by heaven's fire. And the implication is that at a certain point in consumption, when the log is consumed, you cannot separate the log from the fire, for the log has become one with the fire. To try and separate the log is to stick your hands in fire, is to touch fire. The log exists no more. It has been chemically changed. It is one with the fire. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And what you and I are supposed to be leading a life of now is one of literally voluntarily becoming a log to be consumed, so that everything in my life is transformed. That's what he said in the next verse. Bring me your bodies, make them a living sacrifice, and don't be conformed to this world. What does he mean? He means stop looking at life like they taught you to look at it. Stop trying to make this spiritual journey fit that educational experience. It's a lie in comparison to what I'm telling you. Does that make sense? There's only two ages, this age and the age to come. There will always only be two ages, this present age and the age to come. The age to come is the age we are obtaining to. It is the age of salvation. It is the age of enlightened man. It is the age of Christ in man. It is the age of the saints, where we know God and we're not looking for God. God is in us and we're walking as sons in God. Romans is fulfilled where it says the whole earth is groaning and waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. Where are they? We are here. Does that make sense? And when the sons of God show up, order is restored to earth. You know why? Because they build according to